August 25, 2022. The thin crescent moon is near Venus this morning before daybreak. Venus is joined by Mars and Jupiter in an arc across the morning sky. After sunset, Jupiter and Saturn are in the east. Chart caption, 2022, August 25. Venus, Sirius, and Procyon are near the eastern horizon before sunrise. By Jeffrey L. Hunt. Chicago, Illinois, sunrise, 6:09 a.m. CDT, sunset, 7:35 p.m. CDT. Check local sources for sunrise and sunset times for your location. Here is the planet forecast for today. Morning sky. This morning a whisker-thin crescent moon, only 3% illuminated, is low in the east-northeast, 6.4 degrees to the upper left of brilliant Venus around an hour before sunup. Chart caption, 2022, August 25. Through a binocular, the moon appears with the Beehive star cluster. Use a binocular to spot the lunar crescent with the Beehive star cluster, 5.0 degrees to the upper right of the lunar slice. Look early to see this scene before the sky brightens too much. This is a balance to see the moon and cluster before the light from the approaching dawn washes it away. The observation is not easy with the brightening twilight and the low altitude of the moon and star cluster. On September 21, the moon passes the Beehive again, when both are higher in the sky, and the crescent is slightly thicker. The star cluster is also known as the manger. Two stars that represent donkeys, one northern and the other southern, Acellus australis and Acellus borealis, are between the moon and the cluster. Wouldn't you expect to see some animals around the food box? The Beehive is like the Pleiades and Hyades clusters in Taurus. A few mornings ago, the moon passed Messier 35, M35, that is dim to the unaided eye. Unlike M35, the Beehive is one of the closest clusters, at a distance of about 500 light-years. The overall cluster appears dimmer than the Pleiades because its stars are about 40 times dimmer than the Seven Sisters. In his telescope, Galileo reported about 40 stars in the cluster. Made possible from photography and larger telescopes, today's count is nearly 10 times the number in that first observation. In a dark sky, away from outdoor lighting, the cluster is easily visible to the unaided eye as a cloud, but stars are easily seen with the binocular assist. In his Celestial Handbook, Robert Burnham surveyed the history and mythology connected to the cluster. He wrote that the ability to see the cluster was a measure of the sky's transparency, and when the cluster became invisible from high clouds, stormy weather was approaching. It served as a weather forecaster. Note that Sirius, low in the east-southeast, is higher in the sky than Venus. Procyon, the brightest star in Canis Minor, is in the east higher than both Venus and Sirius. Chart caption, 2022, August 25. Mars is high in the southeast with the stars of Taurus before sunrise. At this hour, Mars is nearly 2/3 of the way up in the southeast. It continues its march through Taurus. It is below the Pleiades, trekking between the Pleiades and Hyades cluster. The red planet passes between Alcyone, the brightest Pleiad, and Aldebaran, which is not part of the Hyades, on the 30th. Chart caption, 2022, August 25. Through a binocular Mars, Pleiades, and 37 Tauri, 37 Tau, fit into the same field. Through a binocular Mars, the Pleiades and the star 37 Tauri, 37 Tau on the chart, appear in the same field of view. The red planet passes 2.6 degrees to the lower right of 37 Tauri in 2 mornings. Mars' pace through the star field is easy to follow. Here is a star map of Taurus to plot the position of the planet compared to the constellation. Chart its place each clear night. This is an exciting, non-technical way to build an observing record with a child. Chart caption, 2022, August 25. Bright Jupiter is in the southwest before sunrise. Farther westward, Jupiter is the third bright morning planet. It is about halfway up in the sky above the southwest horizon. The planet is retrograding in Cetus, soon to move into Pisces. Evening sky. Chart caption, 2022, August 25. Jupiter and Saturn are in the eastern sky after twilight ends. Saturn is rising before sundown. An hour later it is about 15 degrees up in the southeast. The ringed wonder is leaving the morning planet parade. The parade is slowly shifting to the evening sky, with Saturn leading the way, until Venus and Mercury cut in front of it later in the year. 2 hours after sunset, Jupiter rises in the east to join Saturn. Mars follows over 2 hours later. After midnight, this trio stretches across the sky. By twilight tomorrow morning, Saturn is very low in the west-southwest, hiding in the thick atmosphere, leaving Venus with Mars and Jupiter. Through a binocular, notice that Saturn is near Deneb al-Jedi and Nashira. It is slowly retrograding in eastern Capricornus, heading for Iota Capricorni, Iota Cap on the chart. Saturn reverses its course and seems to move eastward again when it is 0.5 degrees away from Iota during late October. The Venus-Saturn opposition, when Saturn formally leaves the western sky as Venus rises, occurs on the 28th. With Saturn higher in the sky during the evening hours, ask your neighborhood sky watcher to set up their telescope to show you Saturn or explore when a local astronomy club may have a public telescope evening.